first 2 shows are completely sold out. Great stuff. Let's do it.
You got yourselves a drink. Let's get your hands together for our very good friend, Mr. Jimmy Kuratz.
Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Jimmy. I always like to have an admission right from the beginning. I try to keep the Christian values and stuff, and recently I was at the local park because it was nice weather, and I was talking to a homeless fella that lives there, and one thing led to another, and I asked him how much for a hand job, and it was fantastic because he only charged me $20 to give him one. I'm not real religious, but so my daughter, she were going to high school, right, when she were like turning 13 or 14, and I told her, all you got to know in life when you go to high school, what caused you in high school more problems than anything else? The other girl, bitches is what it is. Because there's the ones going, your hair is too blonde and your shoulders is too wide. And in the new millennium, for a girl, you haven't got a big enough penis. That's what's going on out there. So I told her, look, all you got to know to get through life is this thing that I made up called the 3-bitch rule. Okay, and I said, like, I'm not actually really religious, but I told my daughter, number 1, treat other people the way you want to be treated. Don't be a bitch. Number 2, this is a little serious, I apologize, because it's important. Number 2, these young kids, when times get tough, they go and cry to their mommy. I told my daughter, no, when times get tough, you get tough. Perseverance, get the job done. Don't be a little bitch. And number 3, people always think they know your duty in life better than you know. We're going to tell you how to live your life. I told her, no, you do your own thing, create your own path. Don't be somebody else's bitch. And then from the other room, my wife yells out, that's great. Now get in here and do the dishes, bitch. My daughter, she got my sense of humor, but she said, Dad, I want you to know I was paying attention to everything you said, and I ain't nobody's bitch. So I'm pretty sure Mama's calling you. So I went and did the dishes. All these words you can't say now. Here's what's going on out there. 90% of us, okay, 90% of us are logical. You have the left and the right, but only 5% are extreme at either end. And I think that those 5% on either end are necessary for a society to function properly, so the rest of us know where the limitations are for retardedness. I tricked you. You can't say that word. Can't say the R word anymore. Can't call them retardeds. Now you got to use the proper term, which is feminist. To be fair, the real Dropkicks is male feminists. I had one of them things at one of my shows and complaining about that I had said the R word, going, you can't, and starting to ruin the whole night, going on for like 15 minutes. Can't say the R word. I was like, honestly, to this fellow with his blue hair and his piercings, I said, honestly, I have not got the greatest moral compass. I said, I don't know. Let's take it to the audience of 50 people for a vote. And I said, by round of applause, who thinks this fella's right? And there was virtually no applause, except for him and his friend. And I was like, I think I got the audience on my side. So there was massive applause, and he was pissed off when I said, by round of applause, who thinks that this retarded needs to shut the fuck up? Treat him mean sometimes. I'm going to tell you. Now, you can hear from my accent that obviously when I was growing up, we belonged to a gun club. So then you've heard of America. Okay. I'm going to tell you my best joke. Are you ready? Now, the reason it's my best joke is because it's got a hidden punchline. It's as if you was a gay blind fella. You ain't going to see it coming. It's my best joke. I didn't say it's my funniest, but it's my best delivered this coming up one. Here's what we got going on in America, okay? We got like 20,000 violent gun murders a year. 80% of them are black on black. We got 350 million people and 400 million guns. And I honestly believe we ain't never going to be able to fix the gun violence problem in America because, number one, frankly, it is unconstitutional, okay? And immoral, and I cannot stress that enough for this joke, unconstitutional and immoral to get rid of black people. Don't bullshit me, you did not see that coming. And I'm not a fool, I don't just do these jokes in front of white people. I know to test it. I tested that joke in front of the most left-leaning city in America, Seattle, Washington, in front of an all-black audience. And guess what? They laughed their titties off. So if you in here and you ain't laughing, you just being a sissy bitch. Got this beard. I love this beard. Before I had this beard, I had a handlebar mustache. Loved it. My missus was not a fan at the time. She gave me an ultimatum, said to me, Jimmy, until you shave that, I ain't gonna shave down there. But joke was on her because after 6 months, we was both looking like 70s porn stars. I had a woman tell me that this was an uncommon beard. I mean, you can maybe not like it, but don't tell me it's uncommon. Most common beard in the world. Muslims, Jews, Amish, every time you have ever seen a garden gnome. That's what the shit looks like. So my barber is a Jewish fella, right? And I had gone to see him. He got the same beard. First of all, he kept getting my accent confused because he hears the accent and sometimes people get confused with this, and that son of a bitch kept calling me the C word, Canadian. So that was upsetting, but I said to him, we had formed a bit of rapport, and I said to him, and I'm pointing to it, I said, Ravi, we got something in common. And he was like, oh, you also hate the Muslims. I went, Jesus Christ, man, apparently we got two things in common. You should not laugh at that one. That could start a race war or something. When I was touring around America, I had this panel van, a 1990 G20 Chevy van. I loved it. If you had looked on my social media, you will see pictures of it. When I first got it, it was poo brown. And I said to my missus, I'm going to paint it white and put my logos all over it. And she said, why? I said, so that everybody knows that lives near us that their local comedian is probably also a pedophile. But before I painted it white, it was brown. And my neighbors come running over the one time, and these two women are going, oh my God, we're so sorry, we live in a bad neighborhood. Somebody has destroyed your van. You got to come out and see. And I go out there, and I'm thinking broken windows, no broken windows. They go, you got to come around this side. I get around the other side, and clearly what had been used was a big paintbrush, and it says on the side in big letters, free candy. Spelled with a K, which is pretty bad. Not as bad as if it was a van down in like the southern part of America. They would have spelled it with 3 Ks. So I start laughing hysterically, and these women are going, why do you think it's so funny that some dickhead did that to your van? And I said, because I'm the dickhead. Thought it would be hilarious. So it was hilarious to me. I go to pick up my daughter from high school on the Thursday, and my wife gets a call from Amanda in administration saying, Jimmy cannot have that van on school property. There are young women on this campus. My wife hangs up the phone. I said, there's a bunch of bullshit. This is America. It's freedom of speech. I will drive my van where I want to drive my van. So on the following Tuesday, I went to pick up my daughter. Amanda comes out of the office, says, Jimmy, you cannot have that van on school property. I said, Amanda, can I be honest? She said, yes, be honest. I said, honestly, I am just here to grab a couple of kids. I was like, I know you don't like most of them. Pick two and you'll never see me again. I don't know if Gareth had talked about this in his set, but he would talk sometimes about back in the 90s when it came to pornography, and the young guys don't know this. It wasn't like you could just have it on your computer. You had to go to the VHS store and get a VHS tape. And what I always loved about the porn from like the 90s is they always had the best names. Some of my favorites, Batman and Throbbing, Rumple Foreskin. I mean, these days I just want to see one called Debbie Does the Dishes. Worst one I ever found was called Martin and Lori's Porno, which is terrible because that's the name of my parents. And the most embarrassing part of that one is I did terrible camera work. It's very difficult to hold those big camcorders with your opposite hand. What? American Pie 2. People have seen that movie, haven't they, right? Now, in American Pie 1, the guy's having sex with the pie. But in American Pie 2, there's this part where the guys say to the girls, we want you to make out. And the girls say, we'll do it if you do it first. So in real life, when I had been with my missus for a couple years, and my friend Todd had been with his missus for a couple years, we've been drinking, and Todd says to the women, we want you two to go down on one another. And his missus goes, we'll do it if you do it first. And he looked at me and went, I'll take one for the team. I went, the hell you will. Not on my watch, Todd. So I closed my eyes. See if I can stuff this one here. Here's what's going on in America is I think that the American Constitution is under attack, okay? There ain't even freedom of speech no more. This is driving, I mean, you could walk up to a big black guy and call him the N-word, but there's no freedom from consequences. In my experience. What I love about Australia is a melting pot. And I love being an immigrant and having conversations with other immigrants, right? I met a French fella. Do you guys know that like in Latin, that the word for tongue is like lingua or like lingua, as in cunnilingus? Okay? Well, I met this French backpacker, and he told me he were bilingual. And I was like, that's great. I guess you go down on my missus first and finish me off afterwards. He was like, Jimmy, I speak 2 languages. I said, that's great, but I don't know how you're going to do that with my cock in your mouth. But I did like meeting him, finding out he's French and his family is mostly in Europe. When I was in America, met Mexicans, find out that their family is mostly in America. There was a fella in the audience, found out he were Hispanic, and I found out he were Mexican. I go, do you get upset? Because you guys pronounce it Mexicano. And he said, that's right. I go, do you get upset that like poor, white, ignorant trash like me mispronounces it as gardener? He was like, yeah, I do now. Had a woman at the gym, okay, 22 years old, like half my age. At the time I was 44. She's out of my league, but I'm like, I'm gonna try to have a crack, and I know you gotta treat them mean to keep them keen, okay? But she were one of these, she worked at the gym, and this is what I don't like about some of the 21-year-old women and stuff fishing for compliments online and stuff like this, because she's fit ass, she's a trainer, and she got them fake pumped up lips to go with her fake pumped up titties, to go with her fake ass personality. And what she wrote online was, oh my God, I gained a kilo, and now no guy's ever gonna wanna go out with me again. And all her friends, the girls, is saying real nice stuff like, babe, you're beautiful, and you're sexy, and you're gonna get a date. And all the young guys is saying the same shit because they just wanna get in her hot pocket. And then there's what I writ, which was, don't worry, Renee, some guys like fat chicks. And she did not even unfriend me until I left her a link to the website Chubby Chasers. Now here's what I like to do. That's where it should end. Okay, as a professional, you know, end on a good laugh and just end it there because it was happy times. But I always like to do this other joke, which I can never do in the middle of a set because it usually bombs the room in the middle of a set. I'm going to tell you a story about when I was in America the last time, 10 years ago. And I went there for my 20-year high school reunion. And I was having a good time. We got a famous, so with our 20-year reunion, we were holding it at the county fair, and we got a famous county fair that's famous for having 74 foods on a stick. Not all the same stick. Okay. But I get stuck talking to this tall, skinny bird that I used to know her when I was 6 years old, never liked her because she used to make fun of me for being a little fat kid. On account of I was a little fat kid. But I can't hold my alcohol. I'm about 8 or 9 pints in, and this woman just run her mouth. I just want her to go away. So in my defense, I jokingly called her anorexic. And she was like, Jimmy, how dare you? You know I got a problem with that. You know I got the anorexics. And me in my drunken state said, anorexic? How the hell am I supposed to know you're anorexic? You look pretty goddamn fat to me. Which seems bad, I know. But she turned out just fine. I seen her later that night in the corner trying to slit her wrists. Luckily, she couldn't get through them chubby little bastards, could she? And to this day, I still have no idea why that woman agreed to marry me. Thank you guys very much for coming out. That's why I can't do that shit in the middle of a set. All right, welcome back up to the stage, Tim Kershaw and Gareth McCain. If you guys had a great time tonight, tell everybody. If you did not, keep it to yourself. But anything to say, Lance?
Nah, just thanks very much for coming. Enjoy the rest of your fringe.
Have a great night. Drive safe and all that kind of good stuff.